Hey folks, welcome. My name is Emily and
I'm her friend Maya.
The time has finally come. Y'all have been calling for this. She is here. We have my friend Maya is on the podcast and we're excited. So this is Gently Chaotic Knits, which is generally a video podcast series where I talk about what I've been knitting and sometimes some other making and little bits and bobs. But today we are not doing a normal project update video. We are doing just like a fun little Q&A session. So we're just gonna chat and knit. Maya's already knitting. I've got my knitting here. And we are gonna just go through some questions. So we got a lot of really great and sweet and nice questions from y'all. And we, unfortunately, I don't think are going to have the time to go through all of them. But maybe we'll just have to do this again. Or
who knows?
Something. But we did, yeah, we're going to go through as many as we can. We've got some like sweet friendship questions. We've got some matching knits questions. We definitely are going to talk about the matching knits. Maybe we should start out just talking about what we're wearing.
Yeah.
So this is not actually something that we knit together at the same time.
Yeah.
But we do both. You can tell we are wearing the same thing. So this is the DRK Everyday Sweater. I knit mine in Rerum, Natura, Ulysse. I think this is Poivre Blanc.
Yes, I think that's right.
And what did you use for yours?
Mine is Mountain Meadow wool in Tweed Sport. I think the color is Flint, but it's exactly what Andrea Mowry knit her sample out of. And so if I got any of that wrong, it's just a called for yarn for cool. The pattern.
Yeah, and we can try to link the pattern and all the stuff that I normally try to link down there.
Emily will be doing that.
That's okay. We'll unified front, right? We will try to get all that information down for you as well. And do you want to share what you're working on?
Yeah. Okay, you guys have seen Emily's version of this.
Yes, it's upstairs right now.
If you've watched the podcast, but I'm working on my version of this shawl with my handspun. Yeah, we kind of used the autumn tails as a base, but did an I-cord edging, and this is like one of my favorite yarns that I've made so far. It's gorgeous. Like, I don't know if the colors are gonna come up like accurately, but I love brown. You might be able to tell, and this is like brown goodness. Yeah.
It's so pretty.
Huge.
It's a huge cake. It's so pretty. Anyway, we got to do a little yarn close up.
I love it.
I will just be knitting away if I do at all. I don't know. I feel weird. I may do something. I may not.
I need to keep my little hands busy.
Yes. But I'm working on my pumpkin socks.
So cute.
So I just have my little cuff here. This is the red Pansy Voyager sock in the pumpkin picking colorway. So
you finished the first one, right?
Yeah, it's right here.
So
There's
cute.
the first one. So anyway, I may do a little bit of working on that. Okay, let's just go right into the questions.
Okay.
And get started. We have these roughly kind of sectioned by general category. So we're going to start with just how we met and how we became friends. So maybe you should take the how we met part.
Okay, so I don't know. I feel like our story is kind of like fun and silly, but as you know, because you're watching this, Emily has a video podcast.
It's true.
And I think that this was in 2021. When did you start your podcast?
2020. I started in September of 2020.
Okay, so maybe it was 2020 then. We were like home for lockdown. I was watching a lot of knitting podcasts because we were alone all the time. And I watched Emily's, and as you know, Emily introduces herself and says that she's from Seattle. And
I don't think I did that today. Whoops.
Well,
she's
from Seattle.
I live here with my husband and my dog Norman, who is in the room with us.
and I live very near to Seattle. And I was watching her podcast, and my husband walked in the room, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, like, you need to be friends with her." And I was like, haha, like, yeah, she's a knitting celebrity. Like,
oh my gosh. I think at the time I had like probably less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Totally.
Like, celebrity is, and even now.
Well, but you know when you're like watching someone and you don't know them, you're like, haha, yeah, like that would be nice. And so I think I waited like a couple months after that to like actually send you a message.
It was when you knit soiree.
Yes. So beginning of kind of the matching knits.
Yes.
And I literally messaged you, my husband thinks we should be friends, like LOL.
Yes, I was actually looking last night. I was going to try to see if that was actually the first thing you ever sent me.
Yes.
But you also, I think it was the same day, you posted your soiree.
Yes.
And you tagged me.
Oh,
you were like,
right.
I was inspired in the styling or whatever.
Yes.
I was like, it wasn't just like a cold message. I had seen your post.
Yes.
And everything, so.
Yes. And we kind of just like started chatting casually. Like, I don't know.
At first it was just like.
I say casually because now like Emily and I message each other like every day, like
all day.
Yeah, exactly. But we were chill at the beginning. Or
I'm just saying I was not chill.
No. Like I was. I was keeping it,
holding it back.
Yes, I was keeping it.
Yes,
chill,
casual.
And it was shortly after that you started working at La Mercerie.
Yes. Yeah.
And I had been shopping at La Mercerie online and was so excited to have a like physical store near to where we live. And so I actually went on local
LYS day.
Parent store day. Yeah. And
I was working that day.
Yep. And we just like sat on a bench and like chatted. We were both knitting our birch sweaters at that time.
Yes.
And so we just like sat and we're chatting and we're commiserating because birch is like a slog. And I think Emily was supposed to be working, but
I did work. I want to be clear that I was working. I'm sorry. I'm going to very quickly. My dog needs to be covered by his blanket. Y'all know about this. Okay. I was still working, but I very much wanted to be chatting.
Yes.
And so in between,
we kind of, I don't know. I felt like we had this like little kindred spirits moment. And I don't know.
It just went from there.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, we were just messaging about birch and like that we were knitting that project kind of at the same time. And then it was just like, oh, I want to tell Maya about the other stuff that I'm making too, not just this thing that we're making together. And then it was like, I want to tell Maya about things that are not knitting, and like that kind of. Maybe we should talk about next, the one that's like, was there a moment?
Oh, yeah. That we were like, I want to be friends with this person.
Yeah. So the next question maybe we can answer is, do you feel like we wrapped how we met pretty well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Did you each have a moment where you knew I want to be friends with this person? Yeah. So I can say one of the moments I thought about was at that LYS day. I think as far as just like I want to be friends with this person, I feel like I knew very early was like I want to be friends. But then I think there are moments.
We're gonna get sapping.
I know. I'm gonna try not to cry, and we already talked about this last night when we were going through the questions. So I was like, I'm going to cry, but I'm gonna try to keep it in. But anyway, I am a person that I think attaches fairly quickly, and so I was like, I get such a good vibe from Maya. It's like I want to be friends. I knew that from like even I think before we met at LYS Day. But I think LYS Day definitely I was like, oh, this actually works.
Yes.
Face to face in person. I am not feeling like super awkward or weird. Like this is gonna be good. I do think there was a moment when I was like, oh, we're not just kind of like surface level knitting friends. Like this is actually a person who is my friend. And it was when we went to Rose City Yarn Crawl.
Maya knows like a year into.
Yeah, so when is I just dropped my project.
Yeah.
So I think it was earlier than that because LYS Day is in the spring.
Yep.
And then
April.
And then Rose City Yarn Crawl is in like February, March. So it was a little less than a year.
Yep.
We decided to drive down to Portland for Rose City Yarn Crawl together. This was like our first, we're spending like several hours together, like the entire day.
Over 12 hours.
Yeah. So we were like, oh, we're going to be in the car for hours together. And I don't know. This was like our first time doing that. And it was great. It was so much fun. We went to the yarn stores and y'all probably know this from watching me, if you've watched me long enough, that I'm an anxious girly and I'm often very like stressed and in my head. And I purchased some yarn that I was trying to pair with a yarn that I already had at home, but I didn't have that yarn with me, and I was really excited about it. I bought the yarn. If you watch the podcast, you know that I knit my hour sweater with like one strand of fluff and one strand of, it was actually sport weight yarn. Anyway, I was buying the sport weight yarn for that, but I didn't have the fluff yarn with me. And we got in the car and I was so anxious about it. I was just like, I don't know, is this gonna work? Should I go back? Whatever. And Maya was just like, Emily, you need to chill. And I think that was the first moment where I was like, you're giving me like a little bit of sass. And I was like,
Yes.
I think that
I was giving you a little tough love.
she gave me a little tough love. And that was the first moment I was like, oh, I think she actually likes me. Like, we're
like
actually real
surface.
friends.
Yeah.
And I know it's weird for that to be the moment, but
Oh my
anyway,
gosh.
okay, what's your
No,
moment?
I love that. I think that similarly, like I don't think there was a distinct moment where I was like, oh yeah, I want to be friends with you, because I kind of always felt that way.
Yeah.
But again, kind of the moment of like, oh yeah, we're gonna be more than just like knitting buddies. I think we talked about this as well as we were like prepping for this,
Yeah.
but
I love this one.
we went to our favorite restaurant, maybe just like period, like
It's very good.
well, at least like our favorite place to go
together.
is a restaurant called Basa, which is on Bainbridge Island. It's very close to La Mercerie, where we both worked for a period of time.
Yeah.
And so
When
we were.
was this? I don't remember how early this was. I think it was before.
I think it was quite early. It was like when I started working at the shop,
Yeah.
and it was when we were on Bainbridge.
So shortly after we moved to Bainbridge. I don't remember when that
which
was.
was Labor Day.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like September.
Okay. So we were like 6 months.
6 months? Yeah. And it was like that conversation you have when you're like, I don't know, it almost.
So you're feeling it out.
Yes, exactly. Because we were both talking about how, like, we're kind of all in kind of
Quick to
people.
love.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you don't find that, like, sometimes
It's not
other people.
reciprocated.
Yeah, exactly. And we were both kind of, like, testing the waters, but, like, signaling to one another that we're like, I am fully in this friendship. It was, and it's
very sweet.
Yeah.
We were both, I think, very like tender about it. But then I think the second that I think we both realized
we're like,
we're both
okay,
okay, great.
yes, absolutely, yeah. And I think that it's kind of a rare thing, like to find a friend who's like really all in. And so I think it's really special.
God, stop. I can't. No.
It's special.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next question before I cry. Okay. Next, should we do?
Oh my gosh.
What do you love most about each other? Because I'm
going deep.
really gonna cry. Okay. Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I'll go first.
Okay. You go.
I thought of one
I can't do this.
one thing that I love because it's really different than me, and another thing that I love because it's kind of
You
the
do
same.
too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready.
The thing that I love that's like very similar to me is that like it's kind of related to that kind of moment that we realized like, oh yeah, we're gonna be friends. Like Emily and I are extra. And so like when we get together, like we had breakfast together this morning, and I like got up early to bake quiche, and Emily made apple scones from scratch.
Yeah.
Like, and that's every time we get together. We're like, ooh, what can we
What
make?
can we do?
Yeah.
How can we blow this out of proportion?
Exactly. And same with like our matching knits. Like, and it's really lovely to find. Yeah, I don't know. I think that a lot of us have relationships where like, or I have relationships where I can go extra, but the other person is gonna be like, oh, whatever, like, it's fine. And I think it's really fun when you have that like received, and it like generates even more extraness.
Yes.
Which I love.
We match the energy.
Yeah, exactly. And then the thing that's like a little bit different than me, which I think this is gonna make you a little mushy.
No.
But Emily is like a very, very good like listener and holder of emotions. I am a fixer, and so when someone tells me like that something's not going right, I immediately, my instinct is like, you're not feeling well or you're upset, I want to make it better, here's the ways to make it better. And I know, like, the fix-it is not, that's not the right move, but that's, like, what I go to. Emily, like, even when I'm doing it to myself, like, when I have something that I'm like, this sucks, and then I start being like, but it's not that bad, Emily's always like, you can just let it suck. Like, you can feel that. And that's really special. And
that's so
need
sweet.
it. Yeah.
Okay, this is so hilarious because what I'm about to say about you this is so funny to me. As you're saying this, I was like, wow, this could not have been more perfect. Similarly, I have lots of things that I could say that I love about Maya, but the one that I was thinking about that I want to share here is just literally just kind of like I don't know how best to put it other than just like your positivity and kind of, Maya is just a light. And I think that she's so kind and supportive and encouraging. And I think that kind of ties into what you were saying is like, I can enter a conversation with Maya feeling like really gross and sucky and anxious and stressed and sad and whatever. I just feel like I never leave conversations with Maya feeling that way because she always makes you feel like she has your back and that it's going to be okay. And like, I find that to be really refreshing because I do tend to sit in the bad a little bit too much, I think.
We bring out
what
we need in one another.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I get that kind of like encouragement and energized side from Maya that I think is really helpful for me, and it's a really great treat to have a friend. So I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I can't handle this. Okay,
people are gonna be like, I need to turn this off.
I'm sorry. I know. Should we have done the matching knit stuff first? Sorry.
No, we're getting it out of the way, y'all. You asked though.
That's true. It's your fault. Some people ask this. Maybe some people don't want this, but anyway, we like each other. Okay. Related, we had anything that we have learned from each other? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we are both crisscross, so we have to fight our knees. Okay, thank you. All right. So now we were going to talk about what we have learned from each other after a little battery mishap. I think I already kind of talked about, and maybe we both kind of already talked about in a more like friendship, emotional sense, but I have some more almost like practical things that I feel like I've learned from Maya. I don't know. I feel like I learn things from Maya all the time. She's very like helpful and like, I don't know, supportive and encouraging. And also I just went through like a whole job search process, and that is like Maya's profession. Sure. So that was very helpful. But I feel like one, she taught me how to cable without a cable needle. So I learned that. I learned that from Maya. And I guess, yes, that is the other thing I was going to say is just generally, I think in our making and also outside is Maya has taught me to just like chill out a little bit. And like maybe let more things go. Which, you know.
I don't know. I doubt that anyone I know like personally from my non-knitting life is going to see this, but I think people would be shocked to hear that, like, I'm the chill one.
Okay, I'm so uptight.
That's not true. It's not true.
Okay, I'm just, like, a little bit,
you
like,
are
tightly
intentional
wound.
and planned.
It's a very sweet way to put it.
That's what I say. That's anyways.
That's a nice way to put it. That's very sweet.
I say that about myself as well.
That's the positive side of the coin.
I don't have control issues. I'm intentional.
Intentional.
Yeah.
We're intentional. Anyway, Maya's teaching me to be less intentional. No. Just let more things go. Like things that don't really matter. Like you made a small mistake that is not noticeable 6 inches up in your project. No, Emily, you don't need to rip it out. Like, and that's really, I think, helpful for me. So anyway. That is my answer.
Okay, speaking of balance, on the flip side,
yes,
Emily has taught me that sometimes it is a good idea to swatch.
You're like more good
I'm
about
very
swatching
swatch
now.
compliant.
You didn't used to be though.
I didn't used to be, and I knit a lot of swatch. I am a tight knitter. We also
you didn't know that when we started like being friends.
I was wondering why my sweaters were all coming out so small.
Yeah,
and it's because I like strangle my yarn a little bit. So yeah, I think it's very funny to think about like there are a lot of ways that Emily and I are very similar, And then there are also ways where we are like classically and hilariously opposite.
Yeah.
Like Emily's always a loose knitter.
Yeah.
I'm a tight knitter.
We're like opposite ends of the spectrum too. Like I'm not a little bit loose and you're not a little bit tight. We're like
quite.
I've gotten a little bit
I think
more.
Yeah, I think we're coming to the middle a little bit more.
I think we're coming to the middle in a lot of things.
Oh my gosh.
It's true though, okay? It's
okay,
true.
next question.
Okay, what's next? Do you want to do this one? Or,
so a lot of folks this was like the most common question, and we had a little bit of trouble like thinking about this because we did have, I don't know, I feel like our story is a little bit unique.
Yeah, so the question is just how do I find knitting friends?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and so I definitely like kind of went out on a limb in engaging with Emily in this way, and you know, you can't force anything, and so
it has to be a good fit.
Yeah, and there have been tons of people who I've messaged. Like, I also didn't message you like thinking that we were going to be BFFs. It kind of just like happened. Yeah. But there are lots of people that I engage with, and I'm sure that you engage with on the internet, who like we don't end up being best friends. We're like cordial and like acquaintances and
friendly.
Like love to see like what folks are making and all of that. But so there are no guarantees, so we can't tell you like do X, Y, and Z and you will have a knitting bestie.
Right. I think just like putting yourself out there.
Yes.
I think there are a couple of avenues. So like now that the online knitting community is such a big thing, I think lots of people have found really good friends there. That is kind of how we started becoming friends, was like Maya messaged me on Instagram. So that's like how we found each other. So that's a great place. Just, you know, being really involved in the community, doing online like knit-alongs, make-alongs, that kind of thing can be good. And then, of course, also just like if you have any physical spaces where you can find people, so going to knit nights at yarn stores. You might also be able to find, even outside of yarn stores, maybe you can find like a local knit night.
I know I see a lot all over the country that I see posted by folks who I follow on Instagram, even virtual get-togethers.
Or like, you know, I don't know if people still use the like Meetup, I think was a thing. I don't know if you ever use Meetup. It's like you can find someone who's like a group of people who are interested in whatever you're interested in. They're like board game meetups and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, I would say just put yourself out there. And then the other thing is just don't expect that every interaction that you have is going to result in like a very close friend. I think you just have to go in hoping for friendship and not expecting it. Yeah, I guess maybe is what I would say.
Be open to it.
Be open. Yeah. So. I don't know. I feel like we just kind of hit the jackpot, and I feel bad that I don't have anything more helpful to say.
No, I think that those are the strategies that I would recommend. Yeah, and you know, like we talked a lot about, like find those groups. If you don't have those groups, like think about starting it. Yeah, so think about like find a coffee shop in your area and post on social media. I don't know. It all depends on how like comfortable you are with sharing those sorts of things, but. If something doesn't exist that you want, you can think about making it.
Totally. That's a great one. Okay, the last question in this section that we were going to answer is what movie duo best describes your friendship? We had some trouble thinking about one, and I guess this isn't even a movie one, the one we thought of, but we thought we were kind of like Lorelai and Rory from Gilmore Girls.
Who is who?
Can you guess which one is which? Who's a little bit more uptight and who's encouraging the other person to let go a little bit. So I don't think it's like a perfect.
Yes. But I remember when we first started watching Gilmore Girls together, because we both grew up watching Gilmore Girls, and like it is definitely I don't know, a comfort show for both of us,
especially in the fall.
Yes. And we talked about like I was like, oh my gosh, I like totally resonate as a Lorelai,
and I feel like I'm a Rory. But anyway, I think that's probably like our best fit that we have.
But if you think that we might represent a different duo, let us know.
Yeah, give us your.
We're having a hard time thinking. We were.
Okay, that's it for the friendship question section. We made it, and no one cried.
Wow,
that was a huge upset.
At least.
Yeah, I mean there was heart. Warming. Okay, next you want to do the matching knits questions?
Yes, let's do it.
So we've got lots of questions about if you also like if you happen to be, this is your first video that you're watching on my channel, sorry, you're probably very confused. If you've watched any of my other videos, I'm sure you know like what I'm talking about and who Maya is, but we basically just knit the same thing
constantly
all the time.
Yeah.
So I think we were talking about how, I think for both of us, since we like met and became friends, over half of the things we've knit during that time have been together. We have knit things like that are matching. Yeah. So it's not always we knit the exact same pattern and we use the exact same yarn. Like for example, here we knit the same pattern, but we use different yarn. I think that's probably most of the time how we do it. Yes. But we have occasionally done like same yarn, different pattern. I guess just Lume and Varga were that way. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of, that's the background, I guess, a little bit. So the question we got the most in this category is how many matching projects have you made? So we went through last night to try to count them up, and it's holy smokes. It's a lot.
I did not realize until we counted them.
It's a lot. So we are counting like anything that we both have. So for example, like the DRK Everyday, Maya knit hers earlier, I knit mine later, but we're still counting this even though we didn't knit at the same time. So we have a couple things like that. So we have here that we have 15 garments that we have that are matching. 2 are currently in progress. So we're also knitting the Doppio, and we just cast on our Alvar sweaters, which we'll talk about in a minute. We have 7 accessories. So that includes like hats, shawls, scarves, socks. I would say socks, but I don't think we have any scarves. But shawls, socks, hats, whatever. Yeah. And then we also have 2 matching sewing projects. We have 2 sewn project bags that we sewed together. Actually, Maya and I had like a little, one of our, I think it was the first time I came to your house. Was when you taught me how to like do the little quilt square, and we made quilted project bags. It was a couple years ago. It was very sweet. That's very cute. Yep, so we did those. We have 1 accessory in progress, just this one.
Well, Emily's done.
I'm done with mine.
I'm catching up.
That's okay. So total, I guess, total finished is, including the sewn bags, is 24.
Times 2.
I mean, we each have each of those, and then we have 3 in progress. That's crazy. And like a million more planned. So that's the total. We are not going to go through all of them. A couple of people asked, can you share all the projects you worked on together? We were like, that is maybe a different video entirely. Yeah. Like Maya drove over to my house this morning. It would have like taken her entire car to fill with.
And some of these I don't have anymore. You know, we made them, but you know, I have gifted them to people. You know, I wasn't wearing them all the time, and so I've gifted them, that sort of thing. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll do a tour, but that day is not today.
Not today. That would that would be the whole video, I feel like, because we have 24 of them. That's wild. Yeah. Okay. What is your favorite project that we've done together? Do you have an answer for this?
This was so hard because I feel like my favorite is like whatever we're working on. Currently. Yeah. Oh gosh. I think that I'm really enjoying this. I mean, it's because it's the one that I'm working on right now. I love also how different ours are. Like, if you watched Emily's most recent podcast, she showed it, but it's like the classic Emily colors.
Well, it's this yarn, but with colorful speckles, so like totally different.
So I'm loving that, but I think that probably my favorite, this is kind of a cheating answer, but is our sweater swap.
I agree. Sweaters. That's exactly what I was gonna say. You can't beat that. I mean, I know it's 2 projects. But.
Yes, but it was like very fun to, as a knitter, like I never received knitted gifts. Yep. Because I think that, like, I don't know. Well, I don't have any, the people who I think are close enough to me who would like knit something for me are not knitters. Yeah. And then if I have a knitter friend, they're like, well, you just make that for yourself. And so, yeah, exactly. And so it's so special to like have something knit for you as a knitter. And you know how much time goes into that. And I also think I loved the process of knitting those for one another because we both wanted them to be like just what each other wanted, and so we did like try on checks and like measurements, and like I ripped back.
You did. I know she did.
On
she
a
ripped
colored
back
swatter so I could fix it so it's just right.
That was a big moment. I was like, wow, she loves me.
Yeah.
Okay, but for some background, that project we did do, I'm sure if you've watched the podcast, you've seen me talk about it a ton of times, but we did a sweater swap. So basically we were both working on a matching sweater, and because of some elbow issues, you were having some trouble with the cabling in that project. So I suggested that we do a little swap. I will finish both of our cable sweaters, and because I hate knitting color work,
crazy,
Maya was going to knit us both color work sweaters. So I would do both cabled sweaters, and she would do both color work sweaters, and then at the end we would have 2 sets of matching sweaters. And so we just finished this project earlier this year, and so we both have our sweaters. And I think aside from that, like this is also what I was going to pick for my favorite of our matching projects. And it is kind of cheating because it's 2. But I also think that I just love both of those sweaters so much that they would be like in the running, even aside from the whole process, which is what really adds to it. It's like, it's a very sweet thing. But also we did the cable sweaters Aurelia, which is like one of my very favorite sweaters. So I love it. And I have now Lume that Maya knit for me, which like is so precious to me because I never knit color work, and I would have never knit that for myself. I would not have that if we hadn't done this. So that's so special to me too, and it's so beautiful, and it's the same kind of thing. Like if as a knitter, you don't get knitted gifts. You give knitted gifts, but you don't receive them. So to receive something that sweet, I think it's also special because I know exactly what it took to make that. Like if you give a knitted gift to someone that doesn't knit, they probably don't completely understand what it takes, and the time and the effort and the energy. And even more than that, I knew that like Maya was ripping back for this and was like spending so much time and care and attention to make it so perfect that it's really special. So
I love it.
I think that project altogether is my favorite too. We've got some other good ones that maybe we can talk about in a later like just favorite knits section. But okay, next should we do how do you choose your buddy knits?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to start on that one?
Yeah, so basically, anytime either of us see something that we remotely like, we send it to one another. Like I said, we're like in constant communication. And so there are 2 responses. It's either like, let's knit that, or that's so you.
That's so you.
And that's so you means like, you do you, like, love that, not for me. But a lot of time, I also feel like we have quite similar taste.
That is really fortunate.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that works out. I don't think we have 24 matching knits.
Yep.
And I don't feel like at any point one of us was like, I'm not really into this, but I'll knit it anyway.
Yes.
I mean, I know you definitely would not do that.
I
have a little bit in me that I would.
I am definitely not the kind of person who will knit something that I don't like. I think I've especially got more this way since my injury because like knitting is especially precious. And I have to just like be careful to not overdo it. But I also like, I love when I can knit with someone else, but it's also about like the product. Yeah, exactly. And so I love that we have so much overlap.
We're knitting compatible.
Yes.
We're not necessarily always compatible in colors, definitely not. Yeah. But I think in the styles and shapes that we like, we're really compatible.
Agreed.
And I do think that, I do think I have a little bit in me that is like, I'll do that because I want to knit it with you. And also, like, I like it, but maybe there's something else that I love that I would have knit first. But I think our personalities are just slightly different in that way. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, great. I want to be part of this.
Yes.
Like,
sometimes I have to be like, Emily, you do not have to knit.
you are. Yeah, you like, try to make sure, that I don't. But sometimes I do. Also, I feel like sometimes it's not like a purposeful thing that you do, but I feel like I get worn down a little bit. Like, not necessarily like, you're like, we're going to knit this, you should knit this, but it grows on me.
Yes, I was going to say the same thing, because I think that that's happened to me as well, that like, Emily will suggest something, like we'll share something early, and I'll be like, oh, that's so you. Like, that's cute. I don't know that I would choose to knit it. And then, like, a couple months later, when we're, like, actually getting closer to the point where we could, I'm like, actually, maybe I do want to do that.
That happened to me with Alvar. Like, I was going to do something else with my Handspun. This is something we actually cast on this morning. We'll talk about in a minute. But I originally was going to do something else, and then after a while, I was like, actually, that is really cute, and I think I do want to do the same one. So I think that happens, too.
Yeah, you just plant the seed.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, it's not like, I guess... It is not a situation where it's like, we want to knit something together. Let's go look at all of our options and pick one. It's just more like...
I'm going to knit this. I want to join you.
And I'm knitting it too.
Yeah.
And that happens with almost everything that we do. There are a couple things that like you will be like, I really, really want to knit this. And I'm like, I'm not going to. Or I'm going to knit and you are not going to. Like I just did stripe pipe. You didn't knit stripe pipe.
Right. Emily's a little faster than me too.
Only a little bit.
I think partially... my like elbow situation. You also, I don't know, our lifestyles were a little bit different for a minute.
Now I probably will slow back down. So if you have not watched my last video, I just started a new job. So like before then I had a lot more knitting time and now it's definitely slowing down. So we may get back kind of in the same rhythm, but yeah, for a while, I think I was just knitting some extra stuff that we were not knitting together. But okay, I think we kind of covered that one. So next, we're going to talk about what our next buddy knit is and what our next planned spin is. So our next buddy knit, we actually cast on this morning. So let me see. Oh, it's right here. This is actually a partner spin and knit. Wow. So,
really exciting.
We are knitting here's the swatch. We can try our swatch first maybe. We're knitting the Alvar by Sari Nordlund. And mine I have not blocked. So this is Handspun. Both of our here's some.
Oh, I shouldn't put it on the ground.
Looks like this is our yarn. So we are knitting, like I just said, the Alvar by Sari Nordlund.
Feels so good.
It feels really good. And our yarns are totally different. So, okay, let me give a little bit of information about this.
Yeah, they look so funny next to one another.
Okay. We got the fiber for this project at New York Sheep and Wool Festival last October. So just over a year ago today. Like a year and 1 week ago.
Yeah.
And we went together for the first time. It was very sweet. And we both were really into this fiber, so we purchased it and we decided we were going to spin it together and then knit the project together as well. So like a full process matching project. And so this was actually, I think, both of our Tour de Fleece project this year. So Tour de Fleece when is that? July? Yeah. In July, we embarked on this spin.
Pound and a half
of fiber. We both did a 2-ply, but I spun mine worsted. So I did a short forward draft and Maya did hers long draw. So a woolen spun. And you can see the difference in our yarn. Like mine is a lot kind of shinier and denser and Maya's is really fluffy.
If you feel them, if you could feel them, like the weight also feels different. It's crazy.
This one just feels so light. The long draw one feels so light.
Yours doesn't feel like
it's not dense.
But it's
just like this is kind of more what you would expect with yarn.
Yeah.
And I feel like yours is just so light and fuzzy. It's like air.
Yes.
But anyway, so we spun them slightly differently, and then now that we have all of our yarn, we're casting on. We cast on this morning. So Alvar is an all over textured pullover. Yeah. And so this is the back. So we just have like our little back pieces. Cute.
So cute.
And
I can't wait for these.
I know, me too. It's very precious. Fun. And this is going to also be, this is not Maya's first handspun sweater, but this is my first handspun sweater. So
you're gonna love
it. It's a big moment for me. And already just like starting it, I already know I'm going to love it so much. So that is our current, or like our next matching project. I mean, what else do we have planned that we could run through quickly? Oh yeah, we can talk about this one.
Time? Okay.
This is a recent finished matching spin. This is another spin it to knit it.
Emily said she was not interested in spinning, and
yeah, Maya convinced me to spin. This is a long time ago, but yeah, I was not interested in spinning. And then this is also one that I will say grew on me as the generous term. This one was a little bit more forceful, I think. This one was more you wore me down, I think. But I also...
And aren't we glad?
We're glad. I'm very glad. I was not sure that I wanted to spin, and then Maya just kept making this really beautiful yarn and was like, you would love it. And then I did it.
And then she loved it.
And now I love it. So we also decided to do a little Christmas sock spin because the last couple years we have done a Christmas Eve sock cast on together. Stripy socks I have in my drawer. But this year we want to do handspun. Yeah. So we got some beautiful fiber and we did our handspun. Here, I can hide my head too. So really nice. They are slightly different. Mine is a 3-ply and Maya's is a 2-ply. Yep. But otherwise,
it's gonna be really fun to see how they knit up differently.
Yeah, I think yours are gonna be a lot longer color changes.
I do
color
too.
Shifts.
I'm like a little nervous, but I'm trying to trust the process.
Yeah. So we'll knit this one. We are also still finishing up our Doppio sweaters, and then we're spinning for the Traveler. Yes. So that the next question was what are our next matching spinning projects. So we are currently both spinning for the Traveler hoodie.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. I have shared about mine on the podcast as well. Do you want to just talk about what you're using for yours, maybe?
Yeah, so I picked up 3 braids of BFL from Seattle Sky Dye Works at, what was it called? Red Alder. Red Alder. Yeah. This last year, and it's this like, okay, some people, I think that it was Marlene and Chelsea who gave me this nickname, Mucky Maya. And so it's a very Mucky Maya color. It's like greeny, bronzy, browny, really yummy color. I think it's called Antique Bronze, if I'm remembering correctly. And so one ply is going to be like all that, and then the other ply I got a couple of patchwork kits from Hello Yarn that are like brown, a little bit of green, a little blue, and it has like this like butter yellow color, which I actually really appreciate as a color, but I'm having I'm having the process moment of like, oh crap, is this gonna be ugly yarn? So try and again trust the process.
If you send me some pictures too, I can put them up on the screen so that y'all can see the colors because it's very gorgeous. I feel like it's very Maya. The yellow, I am also like, I think it'll blend out and it'll be good. Yeah. But the other, it's gonna be good. I think it'll be good. It's gonna be good. So we are also knitting this along with some of our pals in the Pacific Knit West Seattle knitting group and some of our San Francisco pals as well. And I think Sharon maybe is also spinning for hers. Yes. But most folks are just knitting it, but we decided to make it harder on ourselves and add a step to the process.
It's gonna be so yummy.
Yeah. So we are both in the middle of that spin, and then we've got some other spins. I mean, we have a lot in both the knitting and spinning queue. I think we always have several projects ahead that we're ready to go. So we have some fiber for like a cabled vest project that we want to do. We want to spin some yarn for a cabled vest.
We might even like try to self-draft that.
Yes,
for that, which will be really fun. Yeah.
Do a little self-drafting. That could be fun. And then, we're doing our advents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we actually put together our own fiber advents from some hedgehog fiber. What are they called? Lucky Dips. And we actually packaged them up for each other, so we're all ready to go. So I am hoping that I can finish my Traveler spin so we can start that on December 1st, but
me too.
You've just started like cruising the last couple of days.
Yeah,
You've been...
I like split my fiber down into like teeny tiny little strips, and oh my gosh, those are like little delectable snacks, and you just like want to keep going.
Like one more.
Yeah, because they go so fast, and so it definitely is like helpful to kind of move through. So I think I've been spinning like an ounce a day when I spin.
Okay.
With those.
Yeah, I'm not there right now, but I'm hoping that. Like I mentioned, after starting the new job, I'll like settle in a little bit. You know, first week of the new job is always going to be really tiring. Yeah. So I think once I get into it a little more, I will be ready to go. If I don't make it,
you don't make it. You can take a break.
Live on camera, y'all are seeing this happen in real time. I am like, no, I have to finish, and Maya's like, it's okay if you don't. That's fine. Okay. You can be nice to yourself. Yes. No. Absolutely not. Anyway, it'll be fine. I will probably go hard at the end and finish it. If we know me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's probably what will happen. Okay, that's it.
What's
I
next?
think that is the end of our matching makes.
Oh, amazing.
Questions. Next up was some other knitting and spinning questions.
Yep.
So these are just like folks I think were wondering for each of us to answer. Just general knitting and making questions. So first up, let's do what's your favorite sweater piece? So this is not necessarily one that we made together, but just a general. Do you want to go?
Yeah, so I think that it's really hard to choose favorite because I love a lot of the things that I've made, but what stands out is my first hand-spun hand knit sweater. I got some more fiber at Rhinebeck when Emily and I went last year and spun that up like in less than a month. Like I spun that quick. I was like so excited to get my hands on it that I spun it really quickly. It was also very, very, it was like probably heavier than a worsted weight. Like,
yeah, you spun it really thick.
Yeah. So it went quickly because of that. And then I knit a kind of mashup between two Ozetta patterns. So I was getting gauge for the Port sweater, but I wanted to do the texture of clay. And so I used the numbers from Port and added the texture of clay. Yeah. And I think again, during that process, it was that like, is it going to work out? Like I was playing yarn chicken because if you spin your yarn, like you can't get
really
more.
Get more.
Yeah. No. Especially for like fiber that you get at Rhinebeck. I couldn't find like a website for the fiber or for the farm that I got it from. And so it was a little bit thrilling. And then it turned out like kind of perfect in my mind. And so that one I think is my favorite. I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, I'll put a picture up of that one too so that y'all can see it because it is so good. It's really
very, very warm.
I was going to say, I think we're entering, like we're maybe starting to get into clay season for you.
It's like 50% wool, 50% alpaca. So it's and it's dense. It's like
really thick.
It truly is like 1.5 pounds.
Yeah.
I guess that like is probably what many sweaters weigh, but for some reason it feels heavier.
Yeah. It's really I think you spun that pretty dense too.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, my favorite make. I think that's kind of a hard question. The next question we're going to answer is what makes you wear the most? And for me, I think those are almost like, they're not quite the same question, but they're similar because I really like the makes I like the most are the ones that I feel like are most functional in my wardrobe. Yeah. So for me, I would say, of course, very close to my heart is all of my designs that I've done. So especially my garment designs I really love. So my dad sweater pattern, and then my color tip tee and my stripy turtle tank was my first ever design, which is very near and dear to my heart, and then also slanty stripes as well. And I think that stripy turtle tank will always just be so special because it was my first design, and then I think dad sweater will always be really special because that came from kind of such a meaningful and sweet place because it was designed based on these sweaters that my dad wore.
You knit like 6 of them.
Yeah, I've knit, that's the pattern I've knit the most in my life because I knit my original sample I had to knit multiple times and then I've knit them for every member of my family. So yeah, it is it is a project that I've spent a lot of time with. So it's very close to me for that reason. Also, I mean, I would hope that I would feel this way about my designs, but I don't also just really love it because I think it's a great wardrobe piece for me.
Classic.
It's very classic, so I really like it for that reason. So I guess I'll just merge into what do you wear the most and then I'll go to you. So for the makes that I wear the most, I would say dad sweater is definitely up there. And then I wear my birch all the time. Yes, you do. That was like a matching one that we did. That was actually like our second ever matching knit. Yeah. We didn't quite, it was like we kind of did it together, but we didn't like plan it together. It just kind of happened that way. Yes. So
it's kind of funny because we also independently came up with the plan for that. Like I think it was my first pre-order that I ever ordered from. I used yarn for that. And I had planned I was going to do the birch. And then I had watched your podcast where you're like, I'm going to use this mustard yarn for my birch. And I was like,
we have to be friends.
Yeah, like we had a
mind meld
moment.
Totally, yeah. So, but I know there are some things that you don't love about how yours turned out, but
this is during the like gauge denial time of my life. It's very fitted, and it also, it just like gets up in the armpit, so I have a lot of felting.
Yeah. So, but that's funny because I think yours turned out tighter than you wanted. Mine turned out much bigger than I expected and like was planning for, but I actually love the way that it fits.
Yeah, totally.
And I wear it all the time. The neckline is like a little bit open for me, but I love it. I wear it over a t-shirt. I wear it all the time. So that one I wear a lot. And then I would say my color tip tees. I have a gray color tip tee that I love and I wear all the time. Yes. And I think that is, I don't know. I always feel weird when I talk about my designs here because I'm like, self-promotion and whatever.
I'm here to vouch that
I do wear it all the time.
So good, yeah.
But I just really love the shape and the fit of that, and the color. It's just it's a classic color.
It's like a workhorse.
It's a workhorse. Sure. So I would say that. And also I've been wearing my vests a lot recently. We have a couple of vests.
Same.
And that we've made together, and I
need more vests.
I need more vests. Yeah. I really want more vests. So, but I've been wearing vests all the time. Yeah. And I love them. So, okay, that was my answer. It was basically, the things. But okay, what do you feel like you wear the most?
I think that this is one of my most worn. My DRK everyday. I love the fit on the sweater. Emily and I, like, probably monthly are like, we need to make another DRK everyday.
More often. Yes. Yeah. We want a handspun one. Yes. I think both of us knit pretty neutral ones. So I think we both want one that's like a little bit more of a color. Yeah. Also mine, the armhole, I didn't follow the instructions and I was like, I think the armhole is not deep enough. So I went deeper and now I wish I had followed it. It's like a little bit too deep. Yeah. So I sometimes will get like extra fabric up here because it's a little bit too deep. Yeah. But so I really I want to knit another one and do it actually properly. Yes. Anyway, sorry, you keep going.
No, I love this sweater. I want to knit more. I also really love my port sweater. I wear that one a lot. We both knit that. I know yours is a little like drapier, and so
it is.
It's kind of similar to the birch. Like I feel like I love my port because I have a denser gauge because I'm a tighter knitter,
and we use different yarn.
Yeah, exactly. And so we were just talking about how I might knit another kind of like
port variant.
Yes, exactly. Another flavor. Of port.
And you're working on kind of like a port vest hybrid.
Yes, I am knitting a little like slip over kind of situation that I used the port pattern, which is by Ozetta.
Yes. Good job. Look at her go. She's a pro. Practicing. She's doing amazing. Okay, great. So what else do we have here? What are you planning to knit for this fall and winter? We talked a little bit about the plans that we have together. Do you have any separate plans you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if February counts as fall and winter, but we're planning on knitting the book club cardigan by Sari Nordlund. Yeah. And I'm actually getting quite excited about that. Yes. I'm hoping, my elbow has been feeling better and better, and so I'm really hoping that I can like pace myself and that the cables on that won't irritate my elbow. But
I'll just do it for you.
Well, I don't know about that. But if that happens, you'll get to pick out another colorwork.
I want that. No, I of course do not want that to happen. I want your elbow not to hurt. But I would do more swaps.
I have also talked about, I mentioned this to you this morning, but I kind of want to do some cardigans. Yeah. That's
Mine's entering her cardigan era.
Yes, it's kind of a gap in my wardrobe, and so I guess book club cardigan is a cardigan, but I also have the Montrose cardigan by,
I don't remember who that is.
Oh, I don't remember either.
If we look it up later, I can put it on the screen or something. We can.
Yes, and the Midlands cardigan by Laura Penrose, and that one hasn't been released yet. I think it's in testing, but that one looks really lovely as well. So maybe there's some cardigans in my future. What about you?
Yeah, I have a lot of things that I really want to knit this fall and winter, and I just don't think I'm going to be able to do them. Honestly,
the dreams.
I have the dreams. Yeah. So we're doing. I have 3 garments that I'm actively working on right now, which is too many.
Yeah, agreed.
So I need to finish up some of those before I get started on others. So I'll probably finish the year with those. I don't know if I'll get any more. Yeah. Some of my pals are wanting to do a boucle knit, so I kind of want to do a boucle knit along with them. I also just have lots of things that I have the yarn for, or that I've been really thinking about that I'm excited about. So we're going to do book club cardigan in February. I have my handspun yarn, this handspun yarn.
Are you going to use the red for book club?
No, I'm using this one.
Oh, that's right. That's going to be so good.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can see what I'm pointing to. I am going to use this yarn that I got in Ireland.
So good.
For book club cardigan. I'm really excited about. This is my Handspun from the Podcaster collection from Yarn Jam. I want to knit the tessellated pullover with this, and I think we're going to look out next weekend. We're going to Sacred Sheep in Portland, so I was going to look out for maybe some yarn to pair with this then. So I have that is on my high up on my list. I also have this blue yarn that I got in Ireland that I really want to use. I don't know if I can open this right now. Yeah, it's too far over. But anyway, I want to knit another kind of like, well, I do want to knit another birch, but I don't know if it'll be when that will happen. I really want to knit another birch. I also want to knit another, I think my second sweater I ever knit was Docklight. It's a Brooklyn tweed pattern. And I wore it so much. It got like holes in the elbows. I actually gifted it to my sister because I was not wearing it, and her bar for wearing things that are like pilling and have like holes in the elbows and stuff is lower than mine. And so she was like, I love this, I'll take it. So I gifted that to her. But I would like to make another one, and then we can match. So I think I want to use that blue yarn for that. So that's high up on my list. Yeah, I don't know. Lots of other stuff. We're gonna knit our Christmas socks. Yeah. Traveler hoodie.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to give ourselves some time for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit of a monster. Yeah. Anyway, we've got lots of plans and not a lot of time to do them in. But that's okay.
Familiar. Yeah,
that's fine. Okay, next up. Which of these were we gonna answer? Any others of these that are calling to you?
I don't know. I think, okay, so one that when we talked yesterday, I didn't have an answer to, but then I realized this morning I do have an answer to, is what's your biggest knitting goal? And I was like, I don't think I have anything, but I have a couple of raw fleeces right now, and I'm like diving into processing fleece. And so I think my goal is to like knit a sweater from yarn that I've like scoured and prepped and spun.
And your side goal is to get Emily to process
to
fleece.
do the same. Well, okay. I'm just paving the way.
She's putting the initial feelers, kind of like you did with the spinning.
Yeah,
and that worked. So we'll see if this works. I am, as of yet, have not embarked, but we will see.
Let's put some bets on.
Oh my gosh.
When Emily will start processing.
We did say I am willing to just like partake in things because like I want to do it together. Yes. So I will. My bar for that is quite low, so I would do that.
I love it.
Do I feel like I have a knitting goal? I don't think I have like a big goal.
You're going to knit from your handspun. Like you are embarking on that.
Yeah, this is not a knitting goal, but I have some pretty lofty goals about getting better at my woolen spinning. So I really want to practice more long drawn. I have some fiber in stash for my first ever woolen spun sweater quantity. So that's definitely something that feels like a bigger goal that I really want to work on. So I want to do some more practice with long draw, and I want to spin up a woolen spun sweater quantity. I have some just like using what I have type goals. This has been like a little bit of a shift in my yarn acquisition and like purchasing patterns. I have some goals just related to, I just really love a lot of the stuff that I have, and I think it's really easy to get caught up in, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, I have to have it. And even if you have really cool plans for it and stuff too, I just have found that I have a lot of stuff that was just sitting for a while, and I want to use the stuff that I have that I love. So that is kind of a goal for me. That is, you have always done such a good job with that, but I think that I had some opportunity for growth, and I do think I'm better at that now, and I want to keep that up. So totally, that's a goal for me.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. One question we got from our friend Chelsea, which I love. This is a fun one, and I want to hear y'all's answers too. So maybe drop it in the comments or whatever. But I'll just read it here. So you get to choose a knitting superpower. You can knit at 10 times speed. So you have 3 choices. 1 is knit at 10 times speed. 2 is never have to weave in ends ever again. Or 3 is you automatically have perfect gauge for every project. What do you choose? Okay.
It's hard. Okay, so I kind of chose by process of elimination.
Yep.
So first, I think we kind of had the same as we were like thinking about this. We kind of have the same rationale for this, but knitting at 10 times speed sounds really nice, and I kind of like that it's a slower process. I'm okay with my speed. Yeah, sure. It's like sometimes where I'm like, oh, I wish I could do this or finish this in time or that sort of thing. But I kind of am at peace with like the pace,
the cadence. Yeah.
I wear my things with ends not woven in all the time. Like that does not bother me. If you
just the ones that are showing,
yes,
weave in. That's what I did with these socks this morning.
Yes.
I wove in the ends. These are matching socks. We are also knit today. Woo! But
is that weird?
Yeah, probably. But I've done that many times before, so folks are probably used to that. But anyway, I just wove in the ones that are showing, and I tuck the rest in.
Yep. Yeah. If you look at like my ports, especially a drop shoulder sweater where there are like lots of ends because you're joining yarn in lots of different places, they'll like be sticking out of the neck when I put it on, and
my crochet vest, I have them like all.
Yeah. So that doesn't like really matter or bother me. Matter to me or bother me. Also, don't like knit a lot of stripes or like things that have a ton of ends. I also spit slice all my ends, and so like
you're not worried about it.
And so I think it's gauge, especially my journey from being a tight knitter to now like knowing like you just got to go up a needle size.
Yeah.
I'm getting better, but I would love if I could just like start and I would be right on. Yeah. What about you?
As soon as I read this, immediately I was like 10 times speed. I want to make more stuff. And then I thought about it for a second, and I came to kind of the same reasoning that Maya just talked about, which is, I think that I would not get to spend enough time with each of my projects if I knit 10 times faster. Yeah. I think there's something kind of special about going through the whole process with each project, and I think I would lose a little bit of that if I knit that fast. So if it was like 2 times speed, I actually think I maybe would have picked that. I think
I didn't even think about like the sheer like magnitude of 10 times, like
it's crazy.
It would take you like a day.
Yeah, so like this sweater actually, the one I'm wearing right now is the only sweater I've made where I actually logged whenever I knit on it because I wanted to know how many, and it was roughly like between 36 and 40 hours. So that would have been 4 hours.
That's insane.
Like I could have made this sweater in 4 hours. Yeah. So yeah, I think that, but if it had taken me
maybe that's
like
a hot
20.
Yeah.
If it would take me 20 hours, I think that maybe.
I could take that.
You're right. So I think maybe if it was 2 times faster, I maybe would pick that. But otherwise, the tricky thing for me is because I feel like I've gotten to a pretty good place with my gauge where it's not affecting me negatively except for the seaway.
I was just going to say,
if y'all watched the last episode, the seaway debacle, I'm knitting a sweater right now that I just like happened to cast on at the wrong needle size somehow, and like, oops, it was bad. It was
very much the wrong needle size.
Very much, yeah. So besides that, I feel like I've gotten to a pretty good place with the gauge. So I think I would choose never having to weave in ends, just because I actually do knit a lot more stripes.
Yes. And you do tend to weave in your ends.
And I do weave in more of them. So
maybe my bad habits are rubbing off on you.
We're both moving toward each other in pretty much every way. So but I think I would pick weaving in ends unless Chelsea, we need a call here. Can I switch it to 2 times faster?
Yeah, referee.
I guess if I have the ability to knit 10 times faster, then I probably have the ability to slow down and knit 2 times faster. Right?
Perhaps.
Like if we're just thinking about it.
It's cheating a little bit though.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Okay. I think that was it. That was all the ones we had marked that we definitely want to talk about. I have no feel since we've like cut and restarted a couple times. I don't know how long it's been, but maybe let's call it.
Yeah, I think
Do you feel like this is good?
I think this is great.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Maya, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Being on the video on the YouTube. And we'll have to bring you back sometime unless you needed it. But
it was okay.
It was okay.
No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, if you have other questions for us, let us know. I don't know if we'll do this again or if we'll just respond in the comments or message us on Instagram or whatever. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you Watch lots of baseball?
No,
No.
I will not.
It is the World Series. Crazy game last night. Oh my gosh, it was wild. Today is, what day is today? It's Saturday, the
26th.
Okay, yes. So it was the first game of the World Series. The Dodgers walk-off. Wild. Anyway, watch lots of baseball and football if you want to. It's football season 2. And do lots of knitting. And have a great week. Bye.
Bye, y'all.